I'm Zanna. I lead our growth and strategy here at Renewabl. It's a pleasure to be here to discuss a topic that's rapidly becoming central in the energy procurement world, how data and digitalisation are transforming PPA markets across sourcing, execution and portfolio management. As more companies commit to renewable energy, PPAs are no longer just sustainability or financial instruments. They're becoming part of core operational strategy. And in this new phase, data tools, data infrastructure are not optional add-ons, they're core enablers. When many people think of PPAs, they think long-term contracts, financial modelling, legal negotiations, but increasingly the frontier is shifting to real-time data, digital dashboards, automation, and advanced analytics. They're all redefining what it means to procure and manage renewable energy contracts. Today, I'm going to walk you through some of the challenges that corporates are facing on this, why this shift matters now, and how energy buyers are leveraging these tools to track performance, automate reporting, and optimize their decision-making. And of course, how Renewabl can help you all in this. So I think it's important to first off start with the customer voice. We've spoken to hundreds of energy buyers at Renewabl, and what's clear is that even with some of the more mature companies that are already buying GOs, they're already buying PPAs, only about 23% of them actually have tools that they're tracking their own consumption, renewable energy consumption, with what they've procured. And even fewer, only 14% actually use a proper tendering tool. This isn't really your average data set. These are already companies that are super mature and leading the energy transition. The majority of buyers and a lot of people we speak to are still trying to get to grips with managing their data beyond Excel spreadsheets. And although very few companies have specifically hourly targets at the moment, companies are very likely to have to report on an hourly basis, as they were discussing in the panel earlier. To do this, you will need to have better control of your data. And this actually resonates with a lot of corporate clients that we're speaking with and working with on a day-to-day basis. When we asked companies what their biggest challenges were hindering the adoption of PPAs and CFE matching, the answer was overwhelmingly the lack of internal capabilities to manage this influx of data and digital insights. In our view, you cannot optimize what you cannot see. For buyers and sellers in the PPA market, guidance and regulations are pushing towards PPA contract structures and management having to utilize much more data. The expectations are evolving from buying volume to actually buying impact. And so what this means in practice for scoping and negotiations, for buyers, they need to move from a volume-only annual type structure to a better profile fit, focusing on hourly and local, and decide what portion of their portfolio targets because they have a CFE coverage or emissionality impact. Buyers should expect to be able to justify when and where their clean energy was generated and relative to their load and the impact of this. For sellers, enhanced regulatory standards will require them to bring hourly production data, local granularity, and hybrid options that improve their buyers who are off-taking their hourly matching offering. So offers that disclose hourly shapes and enable data sharing will be much more competitive and more likely to win tenders. In terms of the risk management side of things, data is also increasingly important. Given the long-term nature of PPAs, over the life of the market, grid conditions, generation patterns, and regulatory landscapes will shift. Buyers are demanding ongoing visibility and transparency into whether the project is delivering as expected versus the initial model that they base their decision on. And as many energy buyers go from managing one PPA to multiple PPAs across different geographies, technologies, and asset types, they will need to layer in unbundled certificates, storage contracts, portfolio hedges across all of these. And in fact, the manual spreadsheets are just not going to provide the scale and necessary oversight on all of this complexity. And in this respect, digitalisation is not just a nice to have, it's becoming a competitive differentiator for buyers who can monitor and optimise their contracts in near real time. So we've spoken about the challenges and why moving now is important, but how should companies go about preparing for this, for the enhanced data management influx in their energy and procurement teams? The best place to start is with a data readiness assessment. So unifying your meter data at an hourly or sub-hourly resolution, streamlining your contract data and certificate data, which many utilities can support you through this, providing API access to meter and settlement data. This will help you to provide a clean baseline hourly CFE score and run emissionality alongside it. It will give you a clear view on the consumption that needs to be covered by a PPA contract. Once you've got this, you can then stress test procurement and PPA options, simulating your current PPAs or forecasted PPAs against your load. And this will reveal where your excess or shortfall hours and quantify what storage or additional assets you would need to coverage and change your risk levels. Stress testing these options helps you to optimize your decision making with connected data infrastructure and to evaluate multiple PPA offers dynamically, not just on price, but on other variables such as delivery profile, location, and congestion risk. Optimization tools can run scenarios, should I pay more for a project with better alignment to my load curve? Or for example, should I accept a lower cost but with higher volatility? Buyers can also help to prepare through educating their internal stakeholders early and making sure that their reporting is already scalable and integrated into digitalized real-time dashboards. These dashboards can generate automated reports for a wide range of stakeholders across your sustainability, finance, and operations teams, or for external reporting, such as aligned with CDP. This is all relevant for buyers who are getting started on this process and increasing their PPA coverage. For those that are already in the process, and they should also expect to see an increased emphasis on data at the contracting and portfolio management stages too. So for example, baking in data sharing obligations around hourly generation data, rights to use data for CFE or emissionality accounting will likely become increasingly important to future-proof your contracts for likely regulations. And on the forecasting, hedging and risk management side of things, buyers can also help to run a scenario analysis. So what if my PPA underperforms by 10% this month? What impact will this have on my emissions targets or my financial costs? They can then dynamically reallocate exposure or rebalance more favorable projects and use storage to flexibly smooth the mismatches. It wouldn't now be Renewabl Day if I couldn't tell you how we can help you through all of this. Through the Renewabl platform and our digital advisory approach, we're already supporting customers to enhance the role of data and digitalisation in their PPA procurement processes. Our tools help customers to structure their portfolios, assess different assets, and consider the local impact with tiered approaches to their procurement strategy, which prioritizes modelling data for impact. The platform shows you what's happening to optimise decision-making, helping you answer questions like, is my solar PPA helping you to reduce your residual mix? Would a wind geo help you to get closer to your target? Or are you paying more than you really should compared to the current market? If you start with the data, the rest tends to follow. And what we've seen is a great example of this with one of the data centers that we're working with. Through centralizing, tracking, and managing their energy data globally, we've helped them to move from 100% annual claims to hourly accounting, making verified claims on the avoided CO2 per PPA and improved compliance readiness for EU rules. Similarly, another global brand that we're working with on the consumer side of things, they can now reconcile their monthly GOs, building an hourly view from proxy profiles and their own PPA data. This data aggregation and digital view has helped them to inform which instruments will be future-proof for hourly reporting, and also has provided them a scalable template for rolling out across geographies as we kind of head towards 2030. And just to close, the PPA conversation is currently being reset, and how you buy matters just as much as what you buy. Data and digitalisation are no longer on the periphery of PPA procurement. They are central to unlocking value, reducing risk, and accelerating renewable investment. PPAs are no longer static long-term contracts. They are dynamic systems reliant on data and digital infrastructure. So thank you. I will finish there, and I look forward to continuing discussion throughout the day on the kind of digitalising future of the energy procurement system. I'm now going to hand over to Phoebe to introduce some of the expert sessions.